So I'm told that people on the left don't talk to men enough to address the male loneliness epidemic. So I guess here I go to address this in one short video. I think there are a number of factors that impact men in our society. There's economic conditions that impact men, and there's social conditions that impact men. In particular, there is an attempt at defining a role for men as a very narrow, rigid expectation. Primarily, this sort of perspective is mostly held by very right-leaning people. What do I mean by that? So that's like the quote-unquote traditional patriarchal, hierarchical model where the man is supposed to be the provider. And there's other things that go along with that are also kind of unhelpful. These weird masculine traits. And the idea that you have to be able to be strong enough and skilled enough to take on a small army or something. I don't know. It's weird and it's unrealistic. And I think the main problem for me with all this stuff is it's not helpful to have some sort of script in mind for what you're supposed to be in society when there's nothing inherent about that script. There's nothing really backing that up aside from social norms and expectations. But social norms and expectations change over time, and when people are allowed to have the freedom to explore for themselves what works for them and speaks to their authentic self, those are the people that are happiest in society, irregardless of your financial position, whether that means whether you're very wealthy or you're very poor. People that live and breathe as their authentic self, not those that are trying to fit some narrow expectation that someone else put onto them. Those people that fit into that second category, where they're trying to fit into a little box that's defined by other people, those are people that are generally the least happy and the least healthy in society. And they also make bad partners. So I think that's the main issue, and a lot of men are they do get lonely, and they do get angry, and they do feel frustrated, and they get into an antagonistic mentality, and they externalize the reasons for why they are unhappy. And we don't really do a great job in society in trying to raise and set reasonable frameworks for men to develop the necessary skill sets to exist in today's world that doesn't map onto these sort of right-wing quote-unquote norms. Right-wingers will say this goes back as far as people go back. And that's not really true, because we know that there are a whole lot of different ways that different people around the world, and even like within groups, like even like white, people that are fit into that really flexible category of like Caucasians. Doesn't matter, like all different cultures, like there's a wide scope of like family rearing practices and like roles, like quote unquote like provider roles, that are effective. And a lot of times, like I would argue, I think our bigger problem, I mean, a lot of it for me points to capitalism, because we have seen like business practices from big corporations that like they will hire someone and then they'll basically have them like relocate, and the purpose is to disconnect them from their family and their support system, which for a lot of people, because of the cost of like childcare and all that stuff, in order to raise their kids, it's very helpful to have like family around, and that's also good for the family, for those that this works. Like if you have like a healthy family situation, you're not worried about people that are cruel or abusive or that kind of thing. Like people that they're trusted and they have healthy relationships and they're good at taking care of kids, because that's not like a default thing. People need that in today's world, because for a lot of us, the cost of childcare is way too expensive. So if you have help, that is a big factor in whether or not like you can, be able to afford a life for yourself, because everything is so expensive. And like the way that most people have to exist in capitalism is like you need both people that live in the household to work, and like sometimes you have to work multiple jobs. So this fictional concept that like the right wing says, is a traditional nuclear family model, where it's just the man is the provider and the woman stays home and raises the kids. Like I don't think that works. Like it's not an attainable thing in most people's circumstances, and it excludes the whole possibility that happens all the time, that people do all the time, and they're perfectly fine. Like some people are lucky enough where the mom works and the dad stays home, or the dad has another side project, or like he's got like a part-time job. Like it, one way or another, like what matters is resources, like income, and also your support network. Like some people are very lucky where they have a lot of other extra help, but not everybody has that situation. Like for myself, I've spent a lot of time mostly on my own, because I had a very unhealthy situation with a lot of my with a lot of my family, and I kind of intentionally isolated myself. There was a lot of different dynamics going on, but I had to isolate myself for my own mental health and well-being, and I had to be like, I was raised to be very independent, and I had to do things on my own. And I ended up moving out to California in like late 2011, and I had a girlfriend at the time that I came out here with that didn't end up working out. But I can tell you there's a big difference between like being in a position where you're kind of on your own. You question yourself. You're struggling with having an identity for yourself and dealing with rejection and things like that. Like, everybody gets that. Everybody experiences that for the most part. And those are hard things to deal with. And that's real. Like, trying to figure out how you fit in this society and like what the heck you're supposed to do, especially when you don't have, good people to talk to. Like, I can understand where men are like gravitating to these like, sort of faux like relationship coaches and like these bros online, like Andrew Tate and some others that give a lot of really bad advice that doesn't actually help men, and like it's just kind of a pyramid scheme kind of thing, like just to make those guys money. But there's a lot of influencers out there that I feel like they just play into the anger of men, and then they end up down this right-wing pipeline, and it's just reinforcing the conclusions that they have come up with, that like the problem is external to them, that other people are to blame, that women are to blame, or maybe they would point to people like me and say that I'm to blame because I am recognizing the fact that there are other things at play that we do need to address, but like I don't think it's helpful to be angry at women and blame feminism and things like that. I think it does make sense to look at, well, what is it about our economic system? What is it about capitalism? What is it about the way that we govern society, and the way that we, like the things that we that are reinforced in society that are creating a situation where you just end up as a cog in the wheel, and you get used and abused and spit out. And like when most of us are stuck in an untenable economic situation where really all you have is you just work, especially in like roles that you're not passionate about whatsoever, or like I think it's problematic that like a lot of like the higher paying jobs are mostly things that I think are kind of harmful for society in a lot of cases, and you're mostly just helping billionaires get more money. Like that's really the main purpose there. If you're in like a soul-sucking job and that's really all that you're doing, it doesn't really leave a lot of time for self-discovery and like healthy habits for yourself and self-reflection and forming better relationships with people and like having opportunities to like just really have like better dialogue with people, so you can become a person that is healthier and happier and more like your authentic self, that isn't always in conflict with everyone else. Like it's not a healthy thing where you're constantly in an adversarial relationship, especially with the people that you would like to get to know and you would like to incorporate into your life. Like it's not like I feel like there's too many, like there's men that have a tendency to look at women like there's some sort of object to attain, and they find it acceptable to kind of trick them in to becoming like a life partner, and then once they have the woman, there's like a switch that happens, and it's like, I got you, and now I can do whatever the hell I want. And that's not healthy, and that's not safe, and that's not something anybody should want. Like, I think men should do some self-reflection about the things that, like, I wish men would have a less adversarial relationship with the idea of toxic masculinity. It's become kind of a trigger word for a lot of men, and probably some women too. But I think that's fundamentally because they don't really, like, I don't think they've thought about it for more than 2 seconds and looked at it objectively and critically. Like, what toxic masculinity really means is it's kind of a type of different behaviors that men have been taught to engage in that are really corrosive to themselves and their relationship with other people. And it's not healthy for men to engage in behaviors that are repellent. And also, like, I see it as an opportunity cost. Because, like, if you can boil life down to lots of different moments, interactions with the external world, especially with other people, and we get chances. And if you look at it that way, and, like, you have a chance to have a healthy interaction with someone of the opposite sex that you might have some sort of interest in, or, like, I think it's healthiest to not really have any expectations going in, other than, like, I just want to share a moment with somebody. Like, I just want to, I want to sit down and be human with this person, and hopefully they want to share that interaction. And at the end of the day, there's always going to be something that is useful coming out of that. Like, maybe I learned something about a new person, or I, like, had moments that made me feel good, or I learned that maybe that approach or whatever might not be so beneficial, so maybe I shouldn't approach people that way. Because social interactions, like social learning, is like it's a trial and error kind of thing. And a lot of lonely men, like, I think mostly the problem is they're not, it's harder for them to get into spaces nowadays where they can have these experiences and get more, like, if you get more chances and you modify your behavior and modify your expectations, you might have a better situation for yourself. But if a lot of those chances are, like, using, like, advice from, like, these, like, pickup artist guys, and you're just trying to, like, do your little sales pitch kind of thing, and your only intention there is to like pick up women and sleep with them or whatever, I don't think you're really getting very much from that. And, like, looking at women as just sex objects, I don't think is all that healthy, especially when it comes to, like, if you want to have a relationship with someone, there's a sort of a different set of skills and expectations that goes into that's healthy compared to, these sort of, like, meant to be, like, one-off throwaway experiences. So I don't know, it's a big topic, but I think it's fair to be honest about what's going on with the male loneliness epidemic. But I think largely it's just there's expectations that are not feasible in today's society for the vast majority of men, and I I would venture a guess that having sort of a hatred of women, like having a hatred of women who want to be like that, like just a failure to recognize that like women are people too, and they have their own thoughts and desires, is going to be a problem for you. And women can smell that stuff a mile away. And the world is a very dangerous place for women, and they're already going to have their guard up. So like I think primarily what women want is they want to feel they want to feel safe around men. They want to feel comfortable. They want to be treated like human beings, like just people with their own ideas, thoughts, beliefs. They don't want to be mansplained to. They don't want people to try to control them or dictate how they should live their lives. And they want to have partners that have kind of a shared vision for what they want in their future, whether that's a family or like to live in the area or to move away somewhere, to have careers that are compatible in terms of like lifestyle and stuff like that. I just think there's a lot of stuff that's out there that gets promoted, and the algorithms push it because it gets a lot of interaction. But just because it gets a lot of interaction doesn't mean that it's good. It doesn't mean that it's healthy for society. And I think that's like my problem with a lot of media today. Like the algorithms are driven by engagement, but what's as it turns out, what gets probably the most engagement is things that enrage people, that make people angry. And I think that's also a problem too, because if you keep hitting the rage button, I don't think that's good for our overall mental health and well-being, for people, especially for young people, young and old. Like you look at what's happening now, like we've basically elected a fascist and an entire party. We've given them all branches of government. And I think this is largely like, if you look at past authoritarian movements, it's kind of fueled by lonely, angry men. And you have to kind of wonder if, these right-wing billionaire-owned social media companies were aware of that and may have had a hand in engineering this political situation we have right now. And maybe it's not women. Maybe it's the men that are the problem. I think it's the men. I think men need to speak out more to other men and create spaces for men that we have different conversations about women, about society, about like establishing healthier pathways for men to become healthier, authentic people that are able to accept the idea that it's okay to get help if you need help, and it's okay to say, I don't know what to do with the situation. I don't have the tools. I don't have the skill set. And I don't have people in my life that can help me. I need to go get help. I think everybody would be better off if men got more help, got more therapy to work through their stuff. And I think it's kind of intentional that for a long time now, men have taught other men, and I think this is led by a lot of bad men, that they shouldn't get help. I think bad people tend to use men as tools to maintain power, maintain this artificial hierarchical structure of the patriarchy. Because like we've seen plenty of examples in our history where women took the lead, and they had much healthier people. And we've had many, many, many amazing contributions by women in society, and they get overlooked, and men get promoted more, and they're not, a lot of times the men are really not displayed in full. It's just like this one sort of achievement, and even that, a lot of times, like, a lot of the details are kind of left out, and they don't get credit, so to speak, for the other pretty bad things that they've done. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this big topic. I'll probably make more videos on this because I care about everybody. I care about men. I care about women. I care about people from all walks of life, and I want a better society for all of us. And I don't think it's helpful to have a bunch of angry men, and I don't think it's good for women to feel unsafe, and for the men that say, we gotta have more babies and more people gotta get married or whatever. It's like, well, maybe become the person that is considered a partner women would want to have in their life. And you're gonna have to accept the fact that, like, women have thoughts and desires too, and you shouldn't diminish them. The end of the day, really, like, the biggest thing is about communication. So, like, practicing having good communication is essential for any healthy relationship. From the vast majority of relationships that I've seen have serious issues, they all have one major thing in common. They had problems with communication. And for me, the last time before I got into the relationship I'm in now, I said one of my number one traits, or like the most important thing for me, is having good communication. There's a lot of other things that you can kind of like compromise, but communication is absolutely key. Anyway, so yeah, if you're not a good communicator, you got to work on that, and that takes practice. Getting therapy is the other number one tip. It's hard to try to be with other people unless you are in a good place yourself, and you can't count on anybody. Like, you shouldn't be expecting anybody to like fix you or complete you. I think that's wrong too, for a variety of different reasons. So that's just my 2 cents. But I'm a man that, a lot of dudes would be like, I don't know, he's just whatever. He's not like a Chad or whatever the hell. But I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life, and I'm a white dude that, I'm in okay shape but not great shape. I'm 5'3", right? I shaved my head because I look better bald, I think, but I had like bald spots and I didn't like my hair, so I went with what worked for me, and I'm happier with that. But I'm in with the best partner I've ever been with in my entire life, and I came into that space not really having expectations. All I really wanted was, I had some goals in mind. Like, I wanted a partner that sort of and was interested in some of the things that I was interested in, and I knew I needed to do more. Like, I wanted to get outdoors more, move my body more. When I have breaks from work, I wanted to make sure that I'm like getting out there, like hiking more, biking more, and things like that. Like, somebody that enjoyed the outdoors. I did want to travel, but I hadn't really prioritized travel before because it's expensive. But my partner loves to travel, and I've traveled more since I've been with her than I ever have in my entire life. Like, in like the first year, we did a lot. And we've worked on our communication, and our communication's really good, and we laugh a lot. But communication was number one for me. And then we have, shared overlap with things that we're passionate about. Like we help people. We both have worked with people with disabilities. And like she owns a home that supports people with disabilities, elderly people. I've worked in that space a lot, and she has a lot of respect for what I do. I work with kids, so we have shared values, and we have differences in like she's a little religious. I'm not anymore. Like I grew up that way, but I'm an atheist. I kind of go back and forth on the agnostic part. I mostly do the agnostic part, agnostic atheist part, because like I am kind of humble a bit. Like I accept the idea that like there's always going to be things that we don't really fully know and fully understand. So I'm open to the possibility that like maybe at some point there's going to be some sort of evidence for the things that I have not been convinced that there is evidence of currently. And that's all atheism is. Like, it's just, we have concluded that there is insufficient evidence to say that there is any sort of a deity of any kind. And I also have an issue with organized religion, the way that it's been weaponized throughout history and currently. So I don't want any part of that. But we've been able to overcome that barrier. It hasn't been really a concern. And that's been fine. So we were able to work that out. So, yeah, I'm in a good space in my life, and it helps that I have a good job and I love what I do. But I am living as my authentic self, and I came into the situation that I'm in now with my partner as my authentic self. I didn't have expectations. I just wanted to meet her and have we had brunch together for the first time at this cool pancake place, and we met and we hit it off, and we were doing activities together, like kayaking and biking and things like that, and it just progressed from there. But I want that for everybody. I want everybody to be in a better situation and healthier, and have be their authentic selves and live a life that they want. But I want people to have respect for other people and considerations for those people. And it's okay to say, yeah, I don't think this is going to work, when there's like red flags. If there's a major contradiction that you can't get past, it's okay to say, even if you've had a bunch of time invested, it's okay to say, yeah, I don't think this is going to work, and go, and don't be afraid. You'll be okay. Anyway, that's my spiel. All right, take care, guys. Bye. Love you.